Hi everybody, and welcome once again, TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee. And this is me, Oberon, with my show, The Emotional Exchanges. And this is my weekly tarot and astrology related forecast to kind of give you a heads up on what's going on in your emotional life with people you care about or with people you might be having emotional interactions with. And this reading is good for today, Friday, July 2nd, through next Thursday, and that's July 8th. So we normally start off with a collective thought, and I have pulled that ahead of time and prepared that reading just so we can move things along. And our card is Harvest. All right. And Harvest. We have achieved something through our hard-working and careful manner of which we now can harvest the fruit. A period of material prosperity and success in our work. Profit by hard work. Summertime. So that's very appropriate, that's very encouraging, and that is, of course, our collective thought for everyone from the Isis Tarot. So now we're going to move on to our reading, and as I mentioned before, there's an astrological focus. We organize the reading by the elemental signs of the zodiac. So we'll start off with the air signs, and those signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So this one is for you. We're just going to go ahead and shuffle the deck and do that reading. So our first card is the focus of the week, the word of the week. It's from the Eclipticos Tarot, and that is Resurrection, number 20. And so that's telling us that in terms of our emotional problems or situations this week, we are going to rebound. We're going to find kind of new depth in some of our spiritual relationships or our emotional ones. We'll find spiritual depth in our emotional relationships. So I think that's a pretty good sign that if we've been having some problems recently, they're going to kind of go away. They're going to resurrect to a better life for us all as we sort of see that. So the next card represents the emotional happiness you reach this week, air signs, and that's the Devil reversed. So I think that's clear that maybe we're giving up some bad habits, and that's especially related to the emotional theme. So maybe there's been some toxic personalities. Maybe, in fact, we have to end some really critical relationships, or at least have some sort of freedom point or period from them, just kind of saying, leave us in our own corner. But clearly, when you have the Devil reversed, it's usually a good sign that you're growing, because you're sort of overturning those kind of addictions or codependent behaviors that are ultimately limiting in any relationship with anybody. So then our next card is, what are the emotional challenges for the air signs this week? And we have the Six of Discs, and it's upright. And I think our challenge is finding, boy, this is so related to that Devil reverse, because if we are giving up some toxic situations or relationships, maybe we are either rewarding other people, or maybe we are showing our generosity in terms of our emotional depth to someone, maybe by intervening and ending the codependent behavior. Ultimately, this is a good thing. It's not like giving money necessarily, but it's like giving an emotional treasure, a treasure of freedom. So it could be connected to that. But on the other hand, it could just be that maybe we're finding other areas where we can expand on our emotional generosity. So then finally, our last card, and that is, what is in the position of things that affect those we care about in our life, the various people. And we have the Prince of Cups, so that's kind of appropriate. The Prince of Cups would more or less be like the Knight of Cups. And so people around us, maybe there are other close friends or relatives, family, children, etc. Those people may be experiencing some changes or movement in their love life, in their actual romantic life, or at least strong feelings with friends, you know, the group thing even. But more likely the former, the idea that maybe we will hear that people around us are, you know, it's never too late to say spring forward and have a summer romance. So let's look at that again, and we'll say that the air signs are really reinvestigating, renewing their interest in their emotional, spiritual natures. What they find will make them happy is that they're releasing themselves from maybe toxic relationships or situations. And then, of course, what we see here is that what is their challenge is that they must find new ways to give emotional generosity, kindness, and loving care to others. And then finally, those around us that we care about, air signs, we're seeing them gravitate towards new love or new love adventures or high emotional feelings. So this is actually pretty good. I realize that some of the recent readings for the last few weeks have been, you know, kind of mixed. So this one's better, so I kind of like that. So we're going to move on then to our next. And that, of course, is the fire signs. And fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So this one's for you. Just going to shuffle those cards a little bit. All right. So fire signs, your word of the week, your focus from the eclipticos is impediment. And in terms of emotional situations, I think fire signs are going to want to look at what those things are that maybe are obstructive and remove them. And an impediment is not necessarily some major obstacle, but it does represent things that basically stand in your way, that stop you from fulfillment. In the picture, it sort of looks like small children are bugging their mom or their minder, and so maybe she's not able to do certain things. It looks like she's holding plants even. Maybe they're bothering her when she's out in the garden. You know, she's got the bushel there. So it could be saying that when you're in the garden of love, maybe it's likely that you're going to encounter some little small obstacles there. Other people, maybe most likely, who don't agree with your direction. So let's just get on with the rest of the reading then, in that case. And what does bring you emotional happiness this week? We have the Princess of Cups, and that's the Page of Cups in most decks. It's reversed. So I think the idea here is that we are feeling like we don't have to be something a little bit different than what we see ourselves. We don't have to be poetic and mystical and intuitive, or, you know, more like a water sign. You fire signs, we just have to be ourselves. We just have to be ourselves in romantic manners. We have to be a little bit more on the, well, less dreamy side. Let's just say we will find ourselves being less dreamy, and that kind of makes us happier. Those situations that we come across where we can just be more practical and more woke. All right, I finally managed to use that terminology in there. So what's next in terms of the struggles or challenges that you can potentially have this week? And for the fire signs, what I'm seeing here is the Two of Swords upright. And that to me says that our challenge maybe is in moving, well, of understanding perhaps some duality within a relationship or some situation where maybe we are looking at two things and trying to not necessarily make the judgment maybe between two people we want to continue moving forward with, but we can only really choose one. I'm thinking it's something like that, since this is our emotional relationship. If it's not necessarily about people who are not looking for love or are already in a relationship, then it could just pertain to the fact that there are some emotional situations in other relationships where maybe we're not satisfied with what those choices or options are. And so from an emotional point of view, we find that a challenge to maybe even turn over the table and have different options. Who knows? So then finally, what is in the position of those kind of things that will affect our loved ones, our good friends, our emotional family and support groups and things like that? And we had it a few moments ago, but now we have it again upright. It's the devil. So the devil is upright. And I think what this is saying is that maybe there is somebody within that sphere of family and friends who maybe is feeling like they like being a little bit more on the grounded, earthy, sexual side, that maybe some of their things that are concerning them are really drawing them into possible obsessions or addictions, or maybe they're just sort of feeling less in touch with a spiritual quality of love. So it may be young people who we see in bad relationships and toxic relationships like we were talking about with air signs, and maybe we sort of feel that that's a challenge to some of those folks around us, that they're sort of caught up with that and they need to kind of find their way out of it. So let's look at that again, fire signs. And we have some impediments, children that don't want to behave, maybe people that we care about. That was a little obligatory to throw that way. But the good thing is that we don't necessarily feel we have to be flowery, poetic, not necessarily ourselves, that we can feel happy about being more grounded in the way we are viewing our love life or our emotional life, or how we look at the sphere of friends and family. Now, what is challenging, though, of course, is maybe feeling that we know what we want in terms of being able to judge or see the options, but maybe the challenge is finding that we don't like those options, and so we're just sort of in a holding position. As far as your challenge, it hasn't really presented itself maybe in a way. So then finally, those around us, though, they may be affected by some more base compulsions. And I won't even necessarily mince words, but this could be saying that maybe other people around us maybe are dealing with something that is addictive to them. Maybe it's something that is sensually pleasing, not necessarily sexual things, but maybe it's, substance abuse too. Or in general, it could just be codependent, toxic relationships. So that's pretty much what I do have for the fire signs. And so we shall move on. And now we will be on the water signs. And water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. They tend to be a little bit more emotional anyway. So I'm going to shuffle up the cards. I was wondering if one of the kitties was going to join me today. Lately, Shadow, who kind of has staked out the upper floor where we have our TFT esoteric library. She may show up sometimes at the end and she'll give her little meows. You know how that goes. So anyways, let's get on to water signs who have a word of the week from the Eclipticos. Oh dear, water signs, it's duplicity. Duplicity. Water signs may be feeling that in terms of the emotional situations around them this week, the people they're involved with in various emotional relationships, they may find one or more of them have some duplicity involved in that. And that's the idea that maybe we're not talking about people who don't love you but pretend they love you. We may more likely be talking about people that are sidestepping certain issues within their relationships, or maybe they are avoiding certain truths about their relationships, or things like that, where maybe water signs may have to judge what is the emotional honesty of some of the people that they're dealing with. So let's get on to the rest of the reading then. And the first card then is about, oh, how interesting. What is our emotional pleasantness or happiness this week? And it is the reversed Prince of Cups, which is like the Knight of Cups. And so that could be saying that maybe we're happy because we don't have to venture forth for romance, and that maybe we don't feel we have to necessarily fight for romance, or we don't necessarily feel we're happy about romance or emotional situations that are leaving our life. It may be that we're happy because somebody who is not emotionally good for us or is problematic, or those toxic people that some of the other readings have, maybe we find that they're leaving, they're moving away like a Knight of Cups might normally do, moving on to maybe another person. That's gonna maybe make us feel happy too, whichever it is. So then finally, well, not finally, but what's next is, what is our challenge for the week? What is surprising and challenging is the reversed Ace of Cups. So I don't know if those are exactly correlated, but the reverse Ace of Cups would seem to suggest that we are challenged because maybe we were counting on a particular new relationship, new romance, new level being reached, would either move faster or would feel more fulfilling on the emotional level, and we're not finding that's happening. It's probably not so much how we feel about it as maybe how it is unfolding. Maybe as a new beginning, maybe there's been some delays for various reasons. Maybe there have been problems in communication, heart to heart. So things of that sort are finding their way to be challenging. This is not to say they're not going to work out, but we're trying to figure out how to make it work better. So then finally, what is going to be of note or concerning to our family, friends, our loved ones, our lovers, our spouses, our parents, grandparents, cousins? Did I leave anybody out? And we had a lot of cups for the water signs, go figure. But okay, it's the Princess of Cups, so that's the Page of Cups. And she is upright, so the Page of Cups, I believe, would be saying that people around us are really trying to slip into a more central mood, and maybe they're working towards, finding just where their sense of love and emotionality is, in a sense that they can correlate with their body, mind, and spirit. So it's not necessarily the same energy as a knight that's moving into something or moving away from something. It's more about messages and information coming to us from various forms, trying to give us those impressions about the emotionalities that we're looking to become more involved in. So let's go back over this again, and we find that in the beginning our focus is about duplicity this week, and that we may find there are emotional situations where we're going to look at them a little bit differently and feel that maybe somebody's not being straight up honest. And hopefully we can resolve some of those situations. I don't think this is about outright deception, but there are some things that are not being said or said correctly. What makes us happy is maybe those who we find emotionally little resonance towards, or that maybe have been problematic for us emotionally. They may be moving away from us, I think. Bad emotional situations in general may be moving away from us. What is challenging is maybe the next round, going forward, finding the ability to begin new things or to see them flowing forward. We're maybe a little bit stumped with that. Maybe there's things that are going slow for certain reasons. So this is not the best week to really push. It may be just more of a week to glide. But ultimately, what I'm seeing here is those around us, they're having more of a heart-to-heart inside conversation with themselves. And so maybe people around you are sort of getting the idea about where their emotionality lies in the greater scheme of their family, friends, other people. So that's pretty nice, keeping peace in the family, that kind of thing. So that's it for the water signs. And at last, we will move on to our earth signs. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And their word of the week is immortality, which of course is Arcana 13, and of course that is death, change, transformation. So I think earth signs really are looking at substantial change, transformation, especially about how they are involved in their emotional relationships, their emotional understandings or challenges. And so this could be the kind of day where somebody really realizes that maybe they really did love somebody that they think they didn't. Or the opposite, maybe they really thought that, you know, something was hated and now they realize, no, they really love it. Maybe somebody realized something about themselves from a very personal sense, like maybe a gender issue of some sort or sexuality issue. Anything could be possible with that kind of idea when it's applied to the realm of our emotional spectrum. So then what's going on with the final part of our reading here? What will bring the earth signs emotional happiness? And mostly knowing you were right, strength, upright, mostly knowing that you fought a good fight for love. You were able to apply the most ultimate of compassion and understanding to perhaps someone else's breaking heart. Maybe you were there for, you know, somebody's really heartfelt situation. Or if you were looking towards love, maybe this was when some sort of actual thing came between you and you realized you loved each other, like at this point, this week. This is what's going to be happy for you. Feeling some deep sense of compassion and love for some situation. So next, what will be challenging then for us emotionally? And curiously, it's the lovers in this deck, the major Arcana 6. So what is challenging for earth signs, I believe, is that there are some choices here to make. And some of them really result in possibly very pleasurable outcomes and not so pleasurable outcomes. The difference being that, of course, there's always something in the details. So maybe the one way seems quicker, but is the one that is more assured to burn out quicker too, or vice versa. The longer road is the one that will ultimately lead to a longer standing understanding of love or emotional choices and how they work in your life. So then finally, what will affect those around us, those we care the most about in our relationships, whether they're familial or friends or lovers or others. And this card just comes up so often, and I shuffle, you saw that. It's the Princess of Cups reversed. So that's like the Page of Cups reversed. And because it's reversed, I think what's challenging maybe is people are a little bit unsure of where they really feel inside spiritually, maybe about people that they care deeply about. Maybe there's some sense really of also just not being able to fully express or articulate in a real-time way what they're feeling about somebody. So it may be that they know and they could write it or send an Instagram or something like that, but the personalness of it is eluding them to some degree. It's the personal message thing, maybe, the message thing coming through the page. So let's review that again and get out of here. We have the immortality as our word of the week, our focus. And so I'm believing there's big changes for many of us in our emotional spectrums. We may be substantially changing the feelings about sexuality, genders, or who we love or who we don't love. What makes us happy, though, is that maybe we really feel we did all we could. We fought for love and we did the right thing and we received what we should have gotten from that. That's really a card of feeling pretty good about love. And then next, what challenges us is the idea that maybe we have some big choices to make. We have to really understand how crucial it is to make the right choice when it comes to love. Caught my throat a little bit. I'm just thirsty. And then finally, our reversed Page of Cups would seem to indicate that those around us, they're not able to express themselves adequately. They can't really quite, maybe they're pining away for somebody too. Maybe there's a love that they just can't quite, they're too shy, something like that. So maybe you might be called into that, and could give them some advice. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that's possible. So that is what we had for our readings this week. And I do thank you for joining me. So come back next week for another installment of Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. Don't forget to watch some of our other programs. I have another program, Goth Tarot, which is on Wednesdays. And then, of course, my wife, the lovely Banshee, has her Material Matters, which is more of a finances related show on Sunday mornings. And, of course, various other content. Oh, yes, I have a brand new comparison of the Millennium Thoth deck with the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck. So check that out too. Those are all on our YouTube channel. If you're interested in readings from us, you can go and order those at our website, TFT Tarot for Today, one word, TFTtarotfortoday.com. So until next time, thanks a lot, and may your star be at peace.